Well, good evening, everybody. It's time for a new RFI episode. So, you got some Dismember in the intro there because I have amazing fucking news. Dismember is back together for the first time since they broke up in 2011, which means I might finally get to see one of my favorite bands. So I'm real excited about that. But this week I already had planned something else, so I just wanted to give you that little bit of metal news. But this week we're going to be talking about Sigh. Hey, Job, I didn't know you were talking about K-pop on this episode. Well, actually, I meant the Japanese black metal band, Sigh, but...
My favorite black metal band's In Living Color.
Oh, great joke. No one's ever said that before.
Isn't Immortal like a Kiss tribute band or something?
You guys are being very mean right now.
Italians aren't white.
Yuka Kanoshita would never love someone like you.
Popular things are popular because they're good.
Hey, isn't your alignment lawful gay?
Well, I don't know what the hell just happened there. But, yeah, this week we're going to be talking about Sigh, one of the original Japanese black metal bands from the country of Japan.
Then things took a turn for the worse. I made it to an island, but it was full of Tojos. They were spitting on the U.S. flag, so I rushed them. But it was a trap. They opened fire and blew my shins off.
So Sigh's been one of my favorite bands since high school. I feel like I say that a lot, but I tend to listen to things that stick with me. So they started out way at the end of the 80s, and nowadays they're famous for being a very avant-garde and strange band. But they have a similar problem regarding the appraisal of their initial few records as Enslaved does. The parallels are that they both were signed to Deathlike Silence Productions, Euronymous' label. And I think that was actually the last two records that label put out was the Sigh album and the first Enslaved album. And the modern-day fan bases of both Sigh and Enslaved tend to look down upon their early stuff because they think it's not very avant-garde or progressive compared to their later stuff. But in both cases, especially in the case of Enslaved, they're completely wrong. And in fact, both of these bands were very weird and progressive and structurally complex from the outset, as I will now prove to you with the first song on this album, A Victory of Dakini. So one thing you'll notice is that for black metal, this music is very bass heavy. Probably because a lot of it's written by the bassist. It's also very doomy at times, especially on this album. So what you're hearing now is kind of the main 3 or 4 riff cycle that drives the song, which includes some very weird dissonant notes creeping through in the background while the bass holds down this descending into madness melody as our humble correspondent Mirai weaves a tale of Zen Buddhist mysticism and Shintoism gone into the realms of the diabolic. So that general build-up right there, that loops a couple times before it hits something of a acoustic-laden breakdown with a bit of piano too. So already, like I said, they were avant-garde from the get-go. Let's have a listen to what that sounds like. So we got the acoustic guitar, the usage of very odd spoken word vocals under the screams. Keep in mind, this is 1993, and not much was entering this level of weirdness back then outside of Master's Hammer. So, still a pretty unique album, even at this day. But, what if I told you that after this cycles back into that initial kind of more mid-paced riff, what it's about to do now? See, I told you that part comes back. So it goes through that cycle again, and then we get back to that mid-paced part being reiterated, only it goes in a completely unexpected and very avant-garde and strange direction. So, that slow part again, this time with more piano instead of acoustic guitar. And then, off in the Celtic Frost realms, a very delightfully bouncy riff that is both sugoi and kawaii. But what if I told you this shit was gonna get even fucking weirder? And right about now. And back into that trudging riff. So, you can tell that Sigh, I don't know, they're a weird band. They have an odd sense of humor, and there's also clearly a heavy Black Sabbath influence in what they do. Particularly from that first Black Sabbath album with the very long songs that had very amorphous song structures. However, they're not just all jazzy weirdness, they also have a very refined classical music sense to them, as seen in the beautifully done coda to this song that ties everything back together with that initial intro riff. So I like the layered organ and the added percussion in this, picking up with almost sort of a morbidly happy version of that slow riff from earlier. And the very strained vocals are not conventionally well done, but they work perfectly for the level of insanity the band is trying to convey. One of the major themes of just about every Sigh song is suicide and mental illness, viewed through a lens of combined Shintoism and Satanism. It's a very interesting way of producing some very morbid black metal. Some people don't like Mariah's vocals. I don't know what the hell's wrong with them. I think they're fucking cool. And now we're back into that creepy fucking intro riff. It all flows back together like an Ouroboros of good black metal. I really like the bass guitar tone on just about every Sigh album. It's always very well done. So, despite what people tell you, Sigh were always weird. They never had like a normal sounding album. Even though their first album was strange as fuck. And they went into even weirder realms after this. I have a feeling that if I'm going to talk about Sigh, it'll probably be a 2 or 3 part episode because there's a lot to be said about them. So hopefully next week I will be telling you about their second, third, and fourth albums and comparing them to the first. Until then,
本日もご視聴ありがとうございました。この動画が良かったらグッドボタンとチャンネル登録ぜひぜひお願いします。バイバーイ。